I will not make age an issue of this campaign. I am not going to exploit for political purposes my opponent's youth and inexperience.
And there is a soundbite from Ronald Reagan to kind of tee up what we're talking about today, Jim, which is the issue of aging officials. Just within the past couple of weeks, there's been some seemingly health-related issues affecting the performance of two of the older members of the U.S. Senate. During a press event a week or so ago, Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, who is 81 years old, appeared to freeze at the podium mid-sentence, being unable to speak. He actually was helped back to his office, but he later told reporters he was fine. A day or so after that, a California Democrat, Dianne Feinstein, she's 90, had to be prompted by some of her staffers and colleagues to vote aye on a procedural motion when she appeared to be confused about where the Appropriations Committee was on the agenda. But there's also been a lot made on both sides of the aisle recently, especially recently, about President Biden's age. He is 80 years old and his ability to carry out his duties in the presidency. And there's even been some concerns about the age of the Republican GOP frontrunner in the presidential race, Donald Trump. He is 77 years old. So, Jim, is age something that should be a concern to voters?
We need to be careful to avoid being ageist here. But an individual's ability to carry out their duties should be a concern. Many candidates for president have made public the results of health exams to allay public fears about those kinds of concerns. Age in and of itself should not be the concern, but the ability to do the job is a legitimate one. What if the question were flipped and we were talking about being concerned about someone being perceived to be too young to do the job? That concern is partly why the framers included minimum ages for certain offices, especially president, senator, and representative. The other aspect for age requirements was the life expectancy at the time. Still, the issue of being too young has come up from time to time in our history. Okay,
and now, isn't this also an issue with appointed officials, especially when we're talking about the judiciary?
Yes, it came to a head for many with the concerns over the health of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. As she got older, particularly for those on the left who had hoped that she would retire under Obama, not because anyone thought she was not capable, just for more practical political concerns. She was rumored to be wanting to be replaced by a nominee from the first woman president who she thought was going to be Hillary Clinton. She rolled the dice and didn't survive the Trump presidency.
Okay, and now Republican presidential candidate Nikki Haley, she's actually suggested a competency test for candidates over the age of 75. Is that a potential solution?
Well, first of all, it would require a constitutional amendment, which would be very difficult to pass. Second, there's the practical concern over who would administer such a test and what it might contain.
Okay, and now taking all of this into consideration, do these concerns make us an ageist society?
I don't know if we would go that far, or I would go that far, but there does seem to be some preference among voters, at least prior to casting their ballots, for younger, more vigorous appearing candidates, at least in that appearance. Yet CNN recently reported that when faced with a choice of older incumbents or younger challengers, voters chose the older incumbent in every Senate race in 2022, all but one gubernatorial race, and in most House races. This seems to me much like the question of term limits. That is, voters say they want term limits, but keep voting for incumbents. They may say they want younger candidates, but they still seem to vote for the older candidates.
All right. Well, Jim, thank you so much for joining us this week.
My pleasure.